And I believe that we are live. Welcome to your Star Trek Lower Decks kind of spoilerish review and chat. How is everyone? I hope you're doing fine. I hope you all had a great week. I am doing okay over here in Sao Paulo, Brazil. I just saw the new episode. This is called Moist Vessel, this episode. It's episode 4 of this little series, which I'm starting to like more and more every week. It's kind of finding its groove. I thought there was a few missteps in this episode, and that there's an A and B plot going on, and I thought the B plot kind of lost its way a little bit, but we'll talk about that in a second. But first, I want to thank everyone that's been watching the videos. Thanks to those who comment, and we're all kind of enjoying each other. I'm not here to give the ultimate version of what this show is or should be. I'm just kind of giving you my thoughts, and I'm more than happy to listen to yours as a Trek fan. So that's about that. And don't forget to like and subscribe to the page if you will. And later on, I'll tell you about some other things that I do here on my page. But getting back to the matter at hand, this episode is called Moist Vessel. And it's got kind of a funky plot. that It starts with them finding this ship, a generation ship that has a bunch of people in cryostasis, and they have to escort this ship to wherever its final destination is. And inside, there's this technology that allows for terraforming, which reminded me a lot of the Genesis device. For those TOS fans who watched Wrath of Khan, obviously, and The Search for Spock, we had the Genesis device, which was this type of technology which could terraform a planet. So it was weird that they didn't make any callbacks to that. I mean, there was a Live Long and Prosper line in there with the Vulcans, but I thought that they would have made a little bit more of a connection given the similarity, or even was it exactly the same technology? I don't know. But given how much this show loves to give callbacks, this episode didn't have as many. It wasn't as heavy as the last two as far as giving callbacks and little Easter eggs. But whatever, I guess they just didn't want to load it up too much. And there was a whole lot going on in this episode. The main storyline is this one, where the captain is doing this with a sister ship. Okay, she's doing this with a sister ship. And let me just see something real quick here, guys, because as always, I can never remember anybody's name, but it's Captain Freeman. I'll get these names eventually. I suck at names. Let's just make that clear. But I have a bunch of notes here. And of course, I forgot to put down people's names because I said this week I'm going to remember everybody's name. And wrong answer. But Captain Carol Freeman. She is working together with this other captain from this other ship. Again, these others. And what I did like about this, the fact that we saw another captain in another ship, is that I was wondering, and I think I saw a YouTube video where the guys asked the same questions. How exactly does the rest of Starfleet operate? Is it just the Cerritos that has a really wacky bunch of officers where anything goes? Or is all of this Star Trek universe that they're in wacky? And that's an important question. Why? Because this cartoon is supposed to take place in canon. Well, we can't have canon where everybody's wacky, right? Because everybody isn't wacky. And especially if they're going to get some guest stars, which I hear we're going to get Jonathan Frakes, among others, are going to guest on this show. Are we going to get a wacky William Riker? I mean, he was funny at times, I guess, if you're into that kind of humor that he, uh, single bachelor type humor. But he wasn't really funny. Nobody was really funny on Star Trek. There were funny moments, and there was stuff that you could giggle at. If you saw Data not understand a joke or something, ah ha ha, it's kind of like a light chuckle type of giggle. But Star Trek isn't a comedy. So, and it's definitely not a ship filled with wacky characters and just characters that disregard almost everything that makes Starfleet Starfleet. So, how does that work? And I think this episode answered it a bit because you saw that the other captain's ship was way better run. He was much more serious, even though at the end of the day he did something really stupid. Um, but we've seen that's totally not out of character for Star Trek. We've seen captains that are too prideful or think too much of themselves or bend the rules or try to get something that maybe they don't deserve. Backstabbing, especially with the admirals, we see this all the time. Every time an admiral shows up, oh boy, it's trouble because they're probably working on some secret ops. Not the friendliest people in Star Trek, right? The admirals. So that wasn't totally out of character. So it was cool. It was cool that they kind of explained that away, right, in this episode. And I hope they maintain that only this ship is the wacky ship. And that's fine. I can deal with that, and it's what makes the show work. And I also like that everybody's kind of wacky and that they're not centering just on these four characters down in the lower decks, which would be Mariner, Boimler, Tendi, and Rutherford. I like that they show a little bit of what the um, higher ranking officers are doing and how it relates to what happens down in the lower decks. That's cool. Because I think I mentioned last week that I would probably get bored if the show only centered around those characters down there. Because there's not a lot going on down there, right? The action's up on the bridge. The funny part, if you want to look at it from the comedic aspect, is how everybody else is reacting to it and perhaps the mundane lives that they lead compared to everybody up on the bridge and their desire to be part of that, especially Boimler. But we'll get into him in a little bit. So the show starts, this episode starts, the cold open this time is that Mariner's just yawning away during a meeting, right, in the ready room of the Cerritos. And yeah, kind of poking fun at how boring those TNG ready room scenes could be sometimes. They cut them down to like the important part. But imagine if they all the time just had to go up there and have these meetings. Every meeting can't be that exciting, right? I wonder how many times they would have to meet with the senior staff per week. I would get bored very quickly. So that was kind of funny. But we find out that Captain Freeman is not cool with it because the other captain kind of admonishes her for it. The other captain's like, "Wow, your vessel, your ship is full of really insubordinate crew members. So what's up with that?" So Freeman was not cool with that at all. And she decides that she needs to do something about Mariner. The question is, why doesn't she? Well, we got a hint of that in the first episode, right? Was it the first or the second? Because we find out that the captain is her mom. Okay? But it never went deeper into that. It was such a quick scene between the captain and the admiral, which I guess is her dad. But it just kind of left it off to the side. So I'm glad that they picked it up, and not only did they pick it up, they really dug deep into that this episode, and I thought it was good that they did that. So as they're on this carrying this precious cargo over there. Of this terraforming fluid, other things are happening. I'm going to get into the B plot, okay? Because I'm going to talk about it real quick and then go back to the A plot because then the A plot gets really, really good. And I thought it was some of the best stuff that they've done so far. The B plot has Tendi, which is a character that they haven't explored that much yet. I hope they get a little bit more into her. She's the very naive, kind of Tilly character of the show. Very green, and literally green, right? And I think that's the color of her skin, too. And her and Rutherford are talking about how is it that they can, the different things that they're doing on the ship. She finds out that there's a guy doing an ascension, which basically says that, hey, I studied so much, meditated so much that I'm going to be one with the universe. Whatever. It started out kind of funny at this little B plot, poking fun at a lot of these people that are like searching for God or searching for enlightenment, but then they're also very angry and insecure, which is exactly what we find out he is. Because when she goes there, she kind of messes things up. She drops some gong or something on the floor, messes up his meditation carpet, and he gets real angry. She tries to apologize, and it's kind of weird. It's like you don't get this impression that she knew this guy that well to be chasing after him the whole episode, and it's what she does. She tries to make up for what she did, and she gives him this other artifact. She tries to show him all these other ways that he can reach ascension, and I don't know. I don't think it worked. We find out that the reason why she's doing this is because she says she really wants to be liked. And then he breaks down and says, well, he wasn't really trying to ascend. It's just really hard to stand out in Starfleet. So the ascension thing was my thing. Like that was my way to attract attention to myself by getting deep into this meditation. But I was bullshitting. I was pretending to find myself, but really I wasn't, right? Um, so, well, yeah, if you were pretending you weren't, it's because I was going to read a line that he said, and then, but of course, if he pretends, he really wasn't. But that storyline loses steam real quick. I wasn't a big fan of it. Tell me what you thought of it. I did think it was cool that they had some religious episode. There's even a line where Mariner asks that Boimler. But I just wanted to get B plot out of the way because it wasn't that good. Although, one second here, I'm moving along. Wait up. There's something nice that happens in B plot. There's tacos. So shout out to the tacos over there. So let's get back to the A plot because that's the important plot. B plot was but that's Star Trek, right? So maybe this is their homage to Star Trek because some of those B plots in TNG, my goodness. B plot, A plot is that we have the Captain Durango. Okay, he's a Tellarite. See how I got my notes out now? He's on the USS Mercedes, and he's taking this ship along with Captain Freeman. But during the meeting, my girl's yawning, so the captain's like, how do I get her off the ship? I know, I'm going to give her all the bad jobs on the ship, right? She actually gets that idea from her first officer, but she kind of doesn't hear him while he's giving her this idea. And then she says, aha, I got a great idea, which is kind of funny. Um, so she starts giving her the worst jobs, right? And some of these were really funny. This stuff made me chuckle, man. The holodeck waste removal, turbo lift lubing, carbon filter maintenance. So she's down there doing all the worst stuff. But the thing that's funny is that Mariner actually finds ways. She finds ways to make these kind of tedious jobs exciting. Like she places bets with the other officers, who can clean the carbon off the wall faster and stuff like that. So that's her character, right? She's gonna find a way to make whatever's around her somewhat interesting. And she's smart too. She realizes that, hey, my mom is just pissed at me, so she's giving me these jobs. So I'm gonna beat my mom at my own game. So mom says, I got one better. I know what she really hates. I'm going to promote her. So she promotes her to a lieutenant. She gets a yellow uniform. And now Mariner has to be in a bunch of meetings and more meetings. And she has to audit stuff. And then she has to audit the audit. And it's boring as hell for Mariner. And this is the part of the show that just I thought was so smart, was so funny. It made me chuckle. Those of us who are fans of Star Trek, especially TNG, it's TNG, as much as I love it, it's really the for me the most tedious to watch, right? I mean, I have to be in the mood to watch TNG because I know there's going to be these long speeches. I know there's going to be a lot of this philosophy and a lot of them just standing around with a lot of techno babble, and I just have to be in the right mood for TNG. I'm much more a TOS guy, DS9. I like a little bit of action with my Star Trek. But I still love the show though, okay? So watching this just made me chuckle because I'm thinking of all the boring stuff that must go on on the Starship Enterprise D, that big old Galaxy class ship, and somebody who's just like the window washer or something, or somebody who's just the holodeck waste removal is genius. I mean, nobody thinks about that, right? I mean, hey, if I poop in the holodeck, where does it go? Right? Or if I do other things in the holodeck, they bleeped a few things out. Where does it go? You know, if I have like a nice, sexy program running in the holodeck. So that stuff was really good. Okay, really, really good. And oh, I especially liked one of her meetings was report to executive poker, which again another kind of swipe at TNG, and again a loving swipe, guys, loving swipe, and another loving swipe at TNG, the sensors. You know, they all pronounce it sensors instead of sensors, right? I keep hearing Worf's voice when I heard that, the sensors. So uh, it got called back heavy around this time, but it dug into TNG pretty heavy. I can't wait till it starts digging into the other shows like DS9 and Voyager because it's gotten some good digs at TOS and TNG, but I guess DS9 and Voyager is going to be a few more of the deeper cuts. Well, it did have the Janeway maneuver, that one episode. In Enterprise, I don't know, you know how much you can dig at Enterprise. It'd be cool if they did a few digs on Star Trek Discovery, actually. I mean, it's a newer show, but that would be kind of funny. But in all of this, now that she's in the meeting, what happens? This other captain, he's a bit prideful, this Captain Merced, and he wants to get the credit for this ship. Like, he wants his name first, let's say. So he puts his ship a little bit closer, because they're both dragging it on a tractor beam. He puts his a little bit closer, and this creates a disaster. The tractor beam pulls part of the hull off. I don't know how that works exactly with the technology, but it pulls some of the hull off, and it the Genesis device type of things. They go through the tractor device into the ship, and then it spreads into the Cerrito, and now, or the Cerritos, and now again another ship invasion. Like every week, there's a total ship invasion. Something invades the ship, and things start growing on the ship. Rock formations, water. I mean, it starts terraforming the ship. And who is going to save the day? Well, it's Mariner and Captain Freeman, which happened to have been in the captain's quarters when this went down. And that is what I thought was the best part of the show, guys. The interplay between mom and daughter, which you can see here, I have a screenshot from there. Um, it was quick, snappy, fun. We got to see, like, it's mom and daughter complete. They're both hard-headed. They're both Mom loves her. She just, but daughter is like, stop treating me like a kid. Well, if you stop acting like a kid, this back and forth, back and forth. Oh, that had me laughing so hard. And it was so good to see this relationship between the mom and daughter. And they made a great team, even though they couldn't stand each other for a little bit. This is where this show's heart was, and this is something that I don't think Star Trek Lower Decks has shown yet, is its heart. I'm glad that they took the time, even through comedy, to show the heart of the show. And the heart of the show was something like this, these two characters. I think it still needs to work a little better at showing the heart of the show between the other members in Lower Deck. Tendi and Rutherford seemed like they were going there, but they kind of dropped that almost love affair kind of quickly. But it'd be nice if we saw a little bit more of those two. And Boimler, man. I guess Mariner is the lead, and I was mistaken. I could have sworn this was going to follow Boimler a little bit more, or at least kind of share duties of co-stars, Boimler and Mariner. But she's really taken over. This episode, she was a bit toned down, which I liked. And Captain Freeman was a bit toned down this episode compared to the last one, where I thought she was too insane. I like her as firm captain, that the joke is that, you know, first officer tells her what to do and, oh, I know what to do. She says it next as if it was her idea. Kind of a cute, jokesy thing, but not incompetent, which she was last week. I don't think incompetence is a good way to joke, because then it's not, you're not laughing kind of with, you're more laughing at, but I don't know if you should be laughing at the captain. I mean, um, the jokes shouldn't be at her expense. They should be jokes, and she can maybe act a little wacky, like everybody on this ship is a little off, but not to the level of incompetence if she's the captain, right? So I'm glad that this episode didn't have any of that. One line that I liked is when they hatched the plan, there was a little techno babble of how it is that we can revert the ship to what it was and get rid of all this terraforming. And the captain, she said, hit it. And then the computer said, hitting it. That was great. That was really funny. So I actually laughed out loud. This is the first episode that had me laughing out loud, mainly for that. B plot, like I said, not really that amazing. I mean, at the end of the day, dude does have this moment of enlightenment because he was able to. He said, I pretended to find myself for so long, I guess I did it, which, because he was able to admit that he was only acting enlightened to get friends. I mean, it's a nice poke at some pseudo spiritual folks, these folks that think they got the answer to something, and sometimes, they're just doing it because they're insecure about themselves. I mean, I guess it's a social commentary, but I don't think they did it very well. It was kind of funny, that he ascended into all these beings, and he, I guess, was going to get the meaning of life. It's funny because I'm reading the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Universe right now. First time read. And it's really funny. And there's a bit of a question about what is the answer to everything, which is 47, but then we don't know what the question is. So I'm right in the middle. No spoilers for me, please. I'm in the restaurant at the end of the universe section right now. So, but, so that book deals with these questions of what is enlightenment, what is this, and kind of pokes fun at it, but it does it way smarter than this did. This was just kind of out of left field, and Tendi was out of left field trying to connect with this guy, and then we find out, oh, I just want to be liked. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't remember her having this problem before. Did she have this problem before where she just wanted to be liked by everybody? I know she was naive and kind of young, and she's just trying to find her place, but I don't recall it was this drive, like a driving factor in her character. makeup. So correct me if I'm wrong about that, because at the end of the episode she says, "Oh, I guess it's okay if people don't like me." And what's his name, Rutherford says, "Well, I'm sure some people don't." And then the joke is, "Tell me who." She kind of strangleholds him, or grabs his arm and stuff. So I don't know where they're going. I don't know if they know where they're going with the other characters. I hope they find where they're going with them. Boimler is pretty well written. I just wish they had more for him to do this episode and last episode. I really like him. And I think him and Mariner together are such a nice pairing because they're so opposite. So I hope they can find more for him to do because he did nothing this episode. He just got upset that Mariner got a promotion for doing everything wrong. So it seemed like they were setting up a joke with him doing things wrong to see if he would get promoted. And he spilled some coffee on the first officer while they were in red alert. And then it just, first officer, Jack Ransom just said, "Are you crazy, man?" And then that was it. So, guys, tell me what you think. This is it. Trying to make these a little bit shorter. And I'm done. I'm done. 26 minutes is about it. I could have made it even shorter than that, and I'll try next week. Tell me what you think. Tell me what you think. Now, for other news, Sunday nights, Lovecraft Country. If you want to join me live, I'm usually on around 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Monday nights, I'm on with my friend Peter at around 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, talking about all the things that we watched during the week, which include everything from movies, TV shows, whatever. And Thursdays, as always, Star Trek. Live long and prosper, guys. Have